In that Palace game, I suspect that Liverpool weren't necessarily focused on the match itself because the performance levels, certainly in the first half, they weren't necessarily as strong as we've seen in the past. So you had Crystal Palace open the scoring to Ismail Assar after Conor Bradley gave away possession, and then in the second half, not too much happens, but then you see Ryan Gravenberch get sent off, which isn't great for next season. But then perhaps inevitably, Mohamed Salah scores the equaliser, ties the record for goals and assists in the Premier League season. And after the match, the most important thing is that Liverpool lifted the Premier League trophy. And I wanted to ask you about, now that the season's over, is there a tinge of disappointment to end the season on 84 points? Because after Liverpool won the title against Spurs, it's 2 draws, 2 losses, but maybe it's just something that you brush off completely.
Yeah, I think very easy to sort of compartmentalize the form in the latter part of the season and these last 4 games, because you just lose something, don't you, in terms of motivation? And as soon as the job is done, and the job was to go and win the Premier League. So we spoke when they had kind of wrapped it up. Okay, they've got these targets of surpassing 90 points, making the point that this is a side that is truly elite. But I mean, it's just hard to do that. And in fact, what this kind of has spelled out to me more than anything really is this run is that this has been a really difficult league to win. People have, Liverpool have led to suggestions that they found it easy and it's because others have dropped off and it's a weak league and all that. I just think it's proven that that's absolute nonsense, because all that's happened is Liverpool have lost maybe 1 to 2% of that level of motivation, that ability to get back in and really like work that extra yard that you need to be an elite team. And they've lost that motivation to do that. And all of a sudden they start losing games, or they start drawing games that they wouldn't draw. So I think it just shows how strong the league is. And I mean, you're coming up against a Crystal Palace side that, yes, have won the FA Cup, but is going to finish the season in 12th place. And you look how good they were, and how good they showed up against a Liverpool side that maybe wasn't at 100% of its capacity. And it just kind of, I just think it proves the point really about how strong the league is. And I think, we can maybe look back on this points tally and question it and say, oh, maybe that says something about the league. But I think we all will have to acknowledge the important context that Liverpool basically won it at a canter, and they had it wrapped up with 4 games to go. And if they'd needed to get 90 plus, if they'd needed to win the last 4 games, I'm pretty sure they would have. But they didn't need to do that. And they've been on holiday on and off in all the days since that has been won, and barely been training. And I think that's the right decision. And I think it provides important context, that points tally in the end. And so, we shouldn't lose sight of that.
Well, I guess a part-time team earning a draw against Crystal Palace is never a bad result. But regardless, Liverpool won the Premier League title. Who really cares? After the game, or during the game, there were images of Jurgen Klopp together with Arne Slot, and I thought that was brilliant, because you had Klopp, who built so much of the foundation for Slot to then go and excel on. And I wanted to ask your opinion about certain comparisons that have been made with the past, because if you look at Liverpool's history, one of the foundational figures was Shankly, and people have been saying that perhaps Jurgen Klopp is the modern era Shankly, while Arne Slot is the modern era Bob Paisley. And I know that Slot's only been here for a year, but what have you made of those comparisons? Because Slot has taken what Klopp has built and so far done really well.
Yeah, do you know what's funny? The first time I kind of heard that comparison made, actually, I was fortunate enough in the I think it was the 3rd game of the season, the game away at Manchester United. I was invited over to a fan event in Oslo. So there with the kind of Norwegian supporters club, and after they'd won that game and obviously performed quite impressively, they were up at the top at that time. I think they'd won all the first 3 games and they looked very, very good. And a fan kind of said to me, he said, I think we found our Paisley here. And I kind of laughed and said, we'll be lucky if that proves to be the case. But the further the season's gone on, the more the comparison looks apt, really. I mean, the way in which he's kind of seamlessly assumed and dropped into that role is remarkable. And in terms of Klopp being that rabble-rousing leader, the kind of the firebrand, famously socialist, and making a big play of that, and then Slot being maybe a bit more cool and collected, a bit more calm, a bit more kind of quiet and going about his business. That you can see the kind of parallels there. And the fact is that he's won the league at the first attempt. He's made the most of those strong foundations. I guess the challenge is now for him over the next 9 years is just to win 3 European Cups, win countless more league titles as well. But I mean, in terms of a start, it's the comparison's looking pretty solid at the moment, and you just hope it can continue. But I think it's huge credit really to what Liverpool have done in terms of finding Slot as well. You know, they didn't just pluck him from the boot room as they did with Bob Paisley. This was someone they had to go out there and find, and they've done an incredible job in doing that. And it's not a bad start to win a league title in your first season. Let's see if he can keep building on it, because that's what he'll have to do if he's to get close to Paisley.